Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lily, and today I'm going to be showing you how to renew your DACA without a lawyer, step by step. I'm going to be reviewing all of the forms, showing you exactly what you need to put on there. If you are here watching this video, I'm pretty sure that you are in the process of renewing yours or wanting to know how to renew yours on your own. Big disclaimer though, I am not a lawyer. Do this at your own risk. I have an easy case, so this is why I decided to do my own. This is my 4th time doing my own. If you are watching this now and the shelter in place or quarantine is over, go ahead and continue as normal. But just an update on that, the USCIS offices temporarily closed to the public due to the coronavirus, so those will open up back on May 4th. Hopefully, if you're watching this afterwards, go ahead and continue. But for now, the update is that they will be using your previously submitted biometrics in order to process your valid application. With that being said, I still highly encourage you to renew your DACA. Due to the Supreme Court not deciding anything yet until the end of June, we're not sure of what's going to happen. Say, for example, they don't approve it or cancel it or do out with it. What we will see happen is the renewals will be sent back. So it's not a bad idea to just send it in and, renew it. If you are unsure of your situation, I highly encourage you to consider consulting with an immigration attorney, a Department of Justice, someone who is accredited to be able to help you renew this or in your situation, guide you a little bit better. For example, I have consulted with my lawyer friends who live here in Austin, Texas, that if your DACA has been expired for more than a year, it is needed to be submitted as an initial request. So I haven't done that ever. So I would definitely have you consult with your lawyer to help you do that process. So let's get into the video. These are the 5 steps you're going to do your own DACA renewal. The first step is to gather previous renewals. That's going to help you fill out the forms a lot easier. Second step is to download the forms. I would suggest downloading and printing out 2 of each just so you have them, and also the instructions. If you don't know how to spell that, just Google it, uscis.gov. It's U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Once you get there, it's going to give you the update on COVID 2019. May 4th is when it's going to open back up for this actual biometrics offices and the public places. And it says it will automatically resume operation. Now, to officially get started with your application, you want to go up here and put DACA renewal on the search bar. You click on it and it gives you the first link. It will give you all of the forms, everything you need to know. Everything that I'm telling you is on here. So you click on Renew DACA. You go a little bit down and it shows you all of the forms, every single thing you need to know. Don't feel discouraged. If you don't know what a word means, Google it. Google is your best friend. All the forms are here. So now what you're going to do is print them out. You'll have them here all ready to go. This is what you'll have. I am going to explain form by form, but just to get started, I do want to tell you that the addition of the form is very, very important. All the forms are up to date on the website, so as long as you freshly print it from the actual website, you will have the current edition. This here is form I-21D. This one is the deferred action, the actual DACA application. This one's up to date, so 4/24/19 is okay, as long as you print it out from the website, as I said. The very next form is called Form I-765. This is the actual employment authorization form. This one is a little tricky because I had this printed out before. So that means that there is an update on the actual form. This one is 531. This one you can actually use until 4/20/20. So the new one does have another date. So make sure to grab the right one from the website. And the 4th form is Form I-765WS, the worksheet. This one is updated, so make sure to grab the right one. I had a previous printout, so that's why I wrote in the quick little new date. The very next thing is you're going to need a copy of your approval letter, your notice of action letter, where it says you have been granted deferred action. You will also need a copy of your EAD, your employment authorization card, your social, your ID. I put them all together and then I do the front and back on separate sheets. I go ahead and do so because the instructions say to do so in the details, and I will be showing you where exactly that says that. Now, make sure you send a copy. Don't send your original. I went ahead and put copy on here because I don't want someone to blame me that they send their original one. They don't want originals. They want copies of everything because they won't send it back. So now that you have everything together, I'm going to explain form by form. The very first form is G1145. This one is the e-notification of application or petition. So just fill it out. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just your information goes there. So this is form I-82-1D. This one is the DACA form. This one is more simple than the other one, but basically the instructions will give you every single part of it and how to fill it out. What I'm going to do is go through the most important parts of it so you can see what exactly matters and the most confusing parts of it. I am going to find here soon what the new documents that you need to send. So when you find it and it says evidence renewal request, it says you do not need to resubmit documents you've already submitted with your previous DACA request. So now that you know that, the very end of the instructions have a reminder for initial and renewal. It's a cute little list, so it reminds you of what you're doing, which is handy. So go ahead and read that. So now we're actually on the form. We want to ignore the first part because that's not for us. That's for the department. Part 1 says we are renewing. Yes, you want to click renew. If you have access to a computer, it's best if you do it and you type it. It looks a lot cleaner, but if you can't, use a black ink pen. After that, the question is, have you ever been in removal proceedings? You're going to go ahead and put no. If you have, it is detailed on how to fill out the rest of that, but if you're not like me, you put no and you continue to the next page. The next page asks you for your alien registration number. That is your USCIS number, and put that in there. Your social, you put that in there. Your city, your state, your names, your other nicknames, you put them all in there. The rest of this part is all your information, your race, your height, your hair color. And for the bottom of page 2 for travel information, if you have resided in the US from June 15th, 2007, you put a yes like me. You continue on to the next page and you put your present address, any addresses that you have been moving to. If you haven't moved at all, just leave it there. There's a lot of boxes for different addresses if you have it. The next part asks you if you have left the US since you last submitted a DACA application. If you haven't, you go ahead and put none because you haven't. So you either put none or you leave it. You move on to the next part. This is for initial requests only, so you fill out none of that because you're not initially requesting this, right? You are renewing. So part 4 is for you. You want to go ahead and put no for every single one because this is the most important part. Because we have an easy case, we have no criminal background like that for national security. They want to make sure that you are a good person, so they need to have this filled out. The very next part is part 5. We are admitting and acknowledging that we can read and write English, so we are submitting this on our own behalf. Make sure to sign. The signature is really important. You cannot forget to sign and date it. Go ahead and insert your telephone number, your email, and that next part is for an interpreter and a preparer. If you're doing this yourself, for yourself, you don't need to fill out none of that because no one's helping you do so. No one's interpreting this for you. Leave it all blank. The very last page is just extra paper for additional information that you didn't have room for. You fill it out if you do. If you not, leave it blank. And then congratulations, you've reached the end of I-82-1D. And the very next form is I-765. This is the application for employment authorization. This one's a little bit more difficult, so make sure to have your instructions. I'm going to keep the instructions right next to it so I can show you the most important parts because this form tends to change now and then. So the very first thing you want to go in and we're going to check off renewal of my permission to accept employment. Attach a copy of previous employment authorization document. So that's your permit. You're going to put in your full legal name. The next part is for nicknames and other given names. Go ahead and put those in there, whatever they are. Next page gives you pretty self-explanatory mailing address and also physical address. So if they're different, put them there. The next thing is your alien number. This one is your USCIS number. For USCIS online account, I'm going to show you where you can find that. That is always the same number. It's on the top of your notice of action letter, your granted letter, right there. Also, if you want to make sure on the instructions, it shows you where you can find that, which is on your notice of action letter. And moving on to the next part, it says your gender, your status, your last time you filed an I-765. If you received a social, you're going to put yes, because by this time you already have a social, right? And you're working. So you put in that social in here, And if you don't want them to give you social, you put no because we already have one. If you put yes, you follow those instructions all the way till 17B. If you put no like me because you have one, you continue to this part. Here's where you're going to put your citizenship or nationality. It gives you two, but if you just have one, just put it in there. This is the part of this form that people tell me that they get stuck on, but this is where you were born, the place of birth where you put your initial request with. This part here, when it says if any, you're gonna know that you do or you don't, so you're gonna put nothing if you don't. Passport number, if any. Travel document, if any. Country, when you're not sure, you just want to go into the instructions. This is exactly what I did, and I went ahead and highlighted it for us so we can see. So now here it tells us if questions do not apply to you. If it is a status, you print an A. Otherwise, you answer it. If it's a numeric response, you put in it 0 or none. Now that we are on page 15, we're going to move to page 18 on the instructions so you can see how to further continue with that application. Here it gives us last arrival, number 24. When we look at the form, it's a little confusing. So it's going to ask for your status. You're going to put no status because we didn't have a status when we entered, right? The number 25, we are going to select deferred action. It gives us an option there. For the very bottom, we're going to put none because we don't have that type of number. If you do, put it in there. Now for number 27, our category is C33. Put it in the boxes just like that. The source where I found this is on the instructions as well. It clearly tells you to put C33. Also, the website tells you our category for requesting is C33. To finish off this one, we are doing the application statement, meaning that yes, I can read and write English. Yes, I'm doing it for myself, just like the other form. Put in your information. Don't forget to sign. Make sure to sign. Put your date of signing. Use a pen. For now, the update for this is that if you are having a lawyer do this for you, the wet signature, meaning that you do it by hand in ink, is not required because they are accepting photocopies if you're in contact with your lawyer through like internet and stuff like that. But if that's not the case now, just continue to sign with a black ink pen. For part 4, we don't have an interpreter. Unless you do have one, go ahead and fill that out. But if you don't, like we're doing it ourselves. We don't need to sign none of that because we're not the interpreter and we are not the preparer. Yes, I'm here helping you prepare yours, but I'm not going to do none of that because I'm not there with you writing anything for you, so you are doing it yourself. If you are still a little confused, go to part 5, number 1A. It'll show you that the person that is helping you do this, if it's different than you, they will sign that and fill that out. But if not, you leave it blank, okay? Because it's just going to go on for the interpreter and the preparer, but since you are by yourself, you're not going to do none of that. The very last page just gives you more space to fill out what you didn't fit in the application, and congratulations, you have reached the end of this form. All right, coming up to I-765WS, this is the worksheet where you will explain why you need your permit to work. Basically, it's going to ask you for your annual income, put in how much you make a year, calculate that if you have to, your current expenses, how much you're paying a month, and then maybe multiply by 12 to put in that number. I would suggest to make sure that it is more than your income, just because you want to show that this is why you need it, or it can even out. Totally up to you. What they'll really look at is if you really need the employment. For the total value of your assets, you might want to include your vehicles, your savings account, total, add it all up together and put it in the box. For part 3 here is the actual explanation. Here they want to read why you need the employment authorization and why it's vital for you to have it. Here I would put things about you, such as I file head of household, for example. That's something that I put. Maybe explaining how much you work or how much you go to school and you really need to be working at the time. Whatever you feel like is your explanation on the reason why you need an employment authorization. The next thing is to make sure that you are using the right edition of the form. This one was outdated for me, but I wrote it in there. Make sure you print it out from the website again. Once you have all your documents filled out correctly, all of your forms, you want to make sure you're only sending copies. I want to remind you not to send your originals. Once you do so, you want to double check everything, go through the instructions again, take your time with this. And on page 19, actually, you can see what they're asking as far as more copies of things. You want to go in there and read a little more. For example, on page 20, it gives you use a light pencil to write on the back of your passport pictures your A number, which is your USCIS number, your copy of your EAD, which is your permit. As far as the passport pictures, I got mine done like at a Walgreens or a CVS. They pretty much do them for you. If stores are closed now, you could always just take a white background, take the pictures, good focus, and just cut them out just how they says 2 by 2 inches here. Totally up to you if you want to save money and time and if stores are currently closed still. For filing fee, you want to make sure it is $410, but with biometrics it's $85, so it's $495. I don't know if they're going to be using your previous biometrics, if they're going to charge you that or not, but you can't go wrong with just sending it. If they do so and they want to refund you, that's great, but if not, don't hope on it. As far as the check, make the check payable to U.S. Department of Homeland Security. You can do a money order, cashier's check, depending on your bank or where you're going to get one. So now that you have all of that, you want to put all your stuff together. This is the order that I would put them in from top to bottom. So all of your copies on the back, your forms, your check at the very top. This is what it looks like. This is my stub, and I went ahead and in the memo line put the form number, what that it's for, and my A number, my alien number, my USCIS number, whatever you refer to it, your 2 passport pictures at the very top, and I'm just going to paper clip all of that together and make sure it's sturdy, it's steady. So now you're ready to go to the mailbox to send it. Find out where you're sending it and through what carrier. I'm going to use U.S. Postal Service, certified mail, or express priority mail shipping. Make sure to get a tracking number so you have evidence of it being sent out. And now you wait. You will get a notification because we sent out that notice that we want an e-notification. And the first thing that you will receive is a notice of receipt that they received your petition, and the next one is an actual receipt for the funds, the $495 that you sent them. So that usually comes next to each other or right after or on the same day. The next one that you will receive is going to be your appointment notice, your biometrics, but depending on the case and how it's going currently, you might not get this, or you might get a different notice, don't know. After that, you should receive your employment authorization card. The inside of it comes with this notice. It says, use this tear off to speed up your application for an extension or replacement card. A lot of people were asking me about this and if this speeds it up if you put it into the application. But to be honest, I've never sent it in. I've never put it in the application. So if you read it, it says for extension or replacement. This is not an extension, I believe. This is just a renewal. Alright, now I just want to show you some things that I thought were interesting and good to know on the instructions. Like this one says, for the arrest and traffic violations, a minor traffic violation does not count, only drug-related and other harder offenses. By that time, you've already spoken to your lawyer about them, right? So a lot of questions that I got were for address changes. On the instructions, it actually tells you where to go and how to change your address just in case you moved in the time that you've sent your application. And last minute tips, I want to remind you not to send outdated edition forms because this will get your application rejected. Make sure you print them out correctly. Also, don't be afraid to make yourself notes, print out things, reread things. Make sure you're sending it to the right place because you want them to process it as fast as they can. Mine personally took a whole month from the time that I sent it to the time that I got it in my hands. This here is just notes that I got from the website. I wanted to make sure that I was doing everything right. The website actually gives you how to assemble your request in your application. It tells you how they want it, basically how to put it. I've already put it the order for you guys, but yeah, we skipped a couple of those because we're not being represented by a lawyer. Submit your copies, send one-sided copies. And lastly, I want to remind you not to get scammed by immigration scammers. There's people that will promise you to speed up your process or whatever it is for a certain amount of money. Don't believe them. Go get advice by a lawyer. Reach out to anyone. research, go online, reach out to your organizations that you trust. I will link down below everything that I possibly can to help you. And lastly, take your time, print out as many copies as you need before sending off your application. Make copies of everything that you're sending so you can have it for your records. Also, remind yourself that we need to be aware, we need to continue the fight, and we need to stay informed, do the research, really stay focused, and help one another, because these are critical times and it's when we really need to fight and stay together. So I hope this video helped you. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask me. And yeah, God bless you.